right, let us go on to some conspiracy rundown stuff.
Hey now.
There we go. We turn down the effects. There we go. Everything's fine. Before we get to the headline news, I'm just going to read down some more conspiratorial stuff. And that's it. Just some paranormal stuff. So here's the first headline I have. It is quantum experiment shows that the present can change the past. And that's not all. According to physicist Andrew Truscott, lead researcher from a study published by the Australian National University, this experiment suggests that reality does not exist unless we are looking at it. It suggests that we are living in a holographic eye of the universe. They have a source for that. Imagine a star emitting a photon billions of years ago, heading in the direction of planet Earth. In between there is a galaxy. As a result of what is known as gravitational lensing, the light will have to bend around the galaxy in order for it to reach Earth, so we can see it. So it has to take one of two paths. It could go left or right. Billions of years later, if one decides to set up an apparatus to catch the photon, the resulting pattern would be as explained above. There's like two slits. So which slit does the photon go through, the left or right, in this interference pattern? This demonstrates that the photon took one way and it could have taken the other way as well. One could also choose to peek at incoming photons, setting up a telescope on either side of the galaxy to determine which side the photon was reaching Earth. The very act of measuring or watching which way the photon comes means that it can only come from one side. The pattern will no longer be an interference pattern, but it will be representing many. Interference pattern represents many different possibilities, but when you look at it, it becomes a single clump pattern showing one path. So what the hell does this all mean? It means that how we measure or how we view now affects what directions the photon took billions of years ago. Our choice in this present moment affects what has already happened in the past. So looking at the photons now, even though the light has been emitted billions of years ago, collapses those photons into one direction. This experiment also suggests that quantum entanglement, which has been verified, read more about it here, here's a link, exists regardless of time, meaning two bits of matter can actually be entangled time and time again, over time, which is very interesting, meaning that at the quantum level, time really doesn't matter. If you go to measure something, the observer, you and I, it doesn't matter what time period we're in, we're going to affect it in the past and, I don't know, maybe the future at that point, which is fucking interesting. So yeah. this kind of this observer thing, very important in the quantum field, as I very, very horribly understand.
Well, I love the quantum theory stuff because this sounds like quantum theory, right? Quantum theory, all this stuff that gets down in this very small level. This leads me, so we're talking about the observers looking at something and measuring something. This leads me to my next headline. How can we feel when people are looking at us? This comes from Mental Floss. According to Psychology Today, the brain has specific systems dedicated to detecting the gaze of others. Compared to the other animals, humans have a lot more visibility sclera, the white part of your eyes, making it easier to follow a person's gaze. Most animals want to hide where they are looking to aid when they are hunting, but humans are social creatures who depend on the cooperation and community to survive. Being able to detect eye contact helps build these crucial relationships.
So, but it doesn't say how we're able to detect the gaze, because everyone's had that kind of creepy feeling where you can tell where people are looking at you. Like, have you ever been in a bar and felt someone looking at you, and you look at them and they are looking at you?
Yeah, I guess.
I've had that. Joe, have you experienced that?
I thought you were talking about gaydar when you're talking about detecting gaze.
No, it's not detecting gaze, but gaze as with a Z.
No, I know. Well, I'm usually the guy who's like staring at people uncomfortably. And
yeah, me too.
They call the police.
I'm the creeper at the bar staring at girls.
Yes.
Someone's got to do it.
Yep, it's my job. So that leads me on to another article. New research says humans have a magnetic sixth sense, which can detect things we can't even see. Just in a recent study published in a journal titled Nature Communications, claims that there is a protein within the human retina when introduced into the I'm sorry. I'm going to slow down here. I'm reading too fast. I'm trying to bust through all these articles so we actually can move on to something else. But in a recent study published in a journal called Nature Communications, claims that there is a protein within the human retina when introduced into the anatomy of fruit flies can potentially have the ability to see magnetic fields. The study suggests that this is potentially a magnetosensor, but from the way humans are able to use it is still unclear. So we possess those proteins to see the magnetic spectrum, but we don't know how we were actually able to use that. So that's pretty interesting. We can see it. I don't know if we can impact it, but according to quantum theory up there, our visualization and observation does impact some things at the quantum level, and then we're also able to detect how and when possibly people are looking at us, even though we might not be looking at them. Very interesting kind of psychic ESP stuff in those kind of three headlines and stories.
It's baked into the culture too. It's where almost like you think something good is going to happen to you, but you don't want to tell anybody because you're afraid you're going to jinx it.
That's true. Yeah, I always say that. Don't tell anybody about this podcast. You're going to jinx it.
Exactly. Nobody tell anyone about this. We don't want to jinx it.
It's just about to get good. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you see it every day, and I remember being a very superstitious child and wondering that, if I had looked at this at a certain time or looked at that at a certain time, and thinking, oh well, if I hadn't looked at it, I'm sure it would have done this instead. And I mean, I love the idea of quantum physics, but then I also feel like that there's this new age, which I hate the new age philosophy bullshit. I feel like it's like this escapism that says reality isn't real. But I feel like that's exactly what we're dealing. And I don't want to get our emailer upset, but the left likes to deny reality. So I feel like this quantum physics idea is just a really great big open door to say, well, reality isn't real anyway, so we can just deny it all day long.
There's perceived reality. I don't want to get into like the left-right thing. There's a perceived reality, the perceived everything, and then there's actual reality, which might be fake or generated in some way or collapsed based upon the viewer. Yeah, which is unfortunate. I don't know if maybe it's unfortunate, maybe it's not unfortunate, because therefore your mind can create the reality you want.
So let me take it to this idea of like gender fluid, where it's like today I identify as a woman, and I'm actually still attracted to men, so I'm a straight woman today. Mm-hmm. And so that's just kind of how I feel. Well, if I, punch a horse in the face...
because it fucked your mother, right?
Right.
Yes.
Well, can I just say, well, I mean, yeah, exactly. I could say, well, in my world, this horse, it was not a horse. It was this. And it's like this quantum physics thing just opens the door to reality denial to me. And I think we have a shared reality. We all have a shared reality. Like if I get drunk and barf all over your balls, like, I mean.
How much would I have to pay you?
Even if I don't even if I don't remember this happening, I may live in an alternate reality where I just blacked out, but you've still got barf-covered balls. So
great. Everyone wins.
Shitty balls.
Yeah. Puke balls.
I'm just barfing the shit off your balls.
Here comes old Mikey Puke Balls.
Barf balls.
But yeah, you're right. This when it gets to this quantum theory stuff, it is kind of the merging of science and religion in a way, and you can almost use that as a justification for your reality you want to push on somebody.
That's what I worry about.
Yeah, I mean, it gets a little dicey there. It certainly can.
I love the idea of quantum physics because it makes for really fun movies. In fact, I would say Back to the Future is sort of a quantum physics type of a reality.
Yeah, I like especially when it gets down to like time travel and all this kind of stuff. I love that kind of stuff, and
even that first Star Trek movie was really good with that, where they found Spock on the other planet and everything.
The reboot.
Yeah, the first reboot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Good stuff. New Star Trek movie coming out pretty soon.
I'm excited about that.
I got a couple more headlines here that are kind of linked. I think they're linked, so let me know. So I have a video here. There is a mystery explosions baffle people and seismologists here. I'm going to open up this link and play you this news story, and then I'll read the other headline here. Here we go.
All right, so what in the world could it be? Loud noises that sound like explosions, and they have plagued the Alhambra community for months now. This mystery has baffled residents who really want some answers. NBC4's Angie Crouch is live in Alhambra, where the mystery only continues. Hi, Angie.
Hello, Robert. Yeah, we haven't heard any of these sounds today, but lots of...
Well, she's got a low voice.
Probably smokes cigs.
Yeah.
People around here have reported hearing them over the past couple of months. So far, nobody has recorded audio of them, but there's a lot of speculation about what could be causing these mysterious booming sounds. People here in Alhambra have speculated everything from sonic booms to secret military operations to aliens.
So we've talked about these booms over the years. Go back to
baseball games and all kinds of...
Yeah, this is always, it happens not even just in the U.S., but it happens in parts of Europe, especially over England. We've read numerous stories about these booms. Here we go.
Well, what I hear is a kind of a boom, but it's a kaboom. It's really big and strong.
It does shake the windows. I've heard car alarms be set off.
That's bizarre, right?
It certainly is. The strange noises being heard in Northeast Alhambra have been scaring residents here since mid-February. The police department has received more than 115 complaints about the mysterious sounds at all hours of the day and night. And Alhambra Facebook groups are inundated with posts about it. The entire city council even heard it.
And all of a sudden we hear this loud, sharp explosion. Very quick, and we all flinch.
Alhambra's Administrative Services Director Chris Paulson says the city has investigated every possibility, but they've ruled out fireworks and sonic booms, earthquakes, construction and power companies, and work on the local railroad tracks. And it turns out Alhambra isn't the only city hearing explosions.
I've heard an explosion in the area. We're also getting another one at 5103 South Lavender. It turns out it is citywide.
YouTube videos show similar reports of booming noises being heard all around the country, from Tucson, Arizona to Panama City, Florida.
I heard and felt it. As of now, there's no official word on the source.
Alhambra residents say they've heard all kinds of crazy theories about what's causing the sounds.
There's holes in the atmosphere, and the aliens are trying to speak to us.
I mean, the police don't know. Maybe it's something more secretive beyond us.
Alhambra city officials say they'll continue investigating, but for now, they're as baffled as everyone else.
Yeah, so they're baffled. They don't know what the fuck's going on. It's not Alex Jones.
Bohemian Grove satellite. Boom. Run by Black Ops. Boom. Right as usual.
It takes me to my next story that could be related. Navy testing likely caused a 3.7 magnitude earthquake off Florida.
Yeah, I saw that.
A 3.7 magnitude earthquake was recorded off the coast of Florida and was likely triggered by a man-made explosion in order to test the seaworthiness of a new U.S. Navy vessel. That's a pretty goddamn big explosion.
it's when North Korea tests theirs underground, they make like 4.5, like 5.5 from the Richter scale earthquake. So 3.4. I mean, that's still pretty substantial.
So you would say, okay, 3.7. They were testing in the water. The water's going to absorb some of the shock, and unless they put it in the seabed. I don't know. But the USS Jackson is a new class of combat ship which will conduct anti-submarine surface and mine countermeasure operations around the globe, according to the Navy. They're designed to detect threats in coastal waters where increasingly capable submarines, mines, and swarming small craft operate, said the Navy. Last week, a federal appeals court in San Francisco ruled the Navy's sonar levels may harm whales and other marine mammals in the world's oceans, and they must scale that back. According to the decision by the 9th U.S. Circuit Court in San Francisco on Friday, U.S. officials wrongly allowed the Navy to use sonar at levels that harm marine animals, and the Navy would have to scale back its low-frequency sonar in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, as well as Mediterranean Sea, under the authority granted in 2012. So that was just a kind of an add-on at the end of that Navy testing. But so they're talking about explosions in the story run in the video previous, booms, explosions, and then you have the Navy testing something. They say it's a new Navy vessel that they're trying to blow up or test this capability. I don't know if I buy that.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. I like it. I have a story that maybe kind of connects to this.
Okay. Go for it.
Voice skull devices recently removed from the internet, now being presented as a conspiracy theory by even sites that don't even they're not even conspiracy theory sites. So it comes from army.mil.
All right, go.
Yeah, that's usually not a conspiracy theory site.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the title of this one again?
Voice to skull devices. It was online for a while, and now it's been removed.
Okay.
So that's kind of the conspiracy theory. And so
I don't know. So voice to skull. Okay.
I'm gonna read it. It says voice to skull devices definition scope: non-lethal weapon, which includes 1, a neuroelectromagnetic device which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse modulated microwave radiation, and 2, a silent sound device which can transmit sound into the skull of person or animals. Note: the sound modulation may be voice or audio subliminal messages. One application of V2K is what they're calling it, is used as an electronic scarecrow to frighten birds in the vicinity of airports. And so it was online for a while, and it's recently been taken down, and that's kind of the conspiracy theory around that.
So I wonder how widespread or how wide the scope of these projected sounds could be. Could they be projecting a boom to see how effective this is? We're getting reports in this town. The cone of our device is working, and they can narrow it and test it like that.
Yeah, I mean, is there stuff being hidden in the boom?
I don't know, but I mean, if you wanted to test the cone of this, you would have to test it high above, shoot it down, and see. Okay, we can change and dial it in more depending on the radius and basically news reports. It might be interesting.
The boom thing, it's like it never gets. It's like one of these stories where it's like when you hear that it's actually happening and then nobody. It's like Building 7 with 9/11, Council of Nine Forgive. When people like I've known people who I've said, well, did you know that there was a third building? And they're like, wait, what? Like they just don't know it. So it's like if it gets coverage or if it doesn't. That's like the boom thing. And this is one of these things where it's like the Navy Yard shooter, if we remember that story. He said that he was being hit with electromagnetic or some
low frequency.
Yeah, it was LF weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was being shot by this stuff. So, yeah, the sound stuff is I mean, there's definitely some conspiracy stuff around there that I think is worth entertaining.